Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket, we're going to call case number 4 first. The address of 2229 North Charles Street. Dutch Carriage, 2229 North Charles Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application for a new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license under Article 12-1603, small e, number 2, small i, requiring $50,000 in capital investment, requesting live entertainment and outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Abraham Hurd on behalf of Middle Zoo Beverage LLC, trading as Dutch Courage. With me is Brendan Doerr, who is the prospective licensee.
Would all those who are going to testify in this matter please raise your right hands?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give this will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Hurdle, it's my understanding this matter was called about 2 weeks ago when I was not here, and there was almost a full hearing, but then it was withdrawn and refiled to have requested outdoor table service.
We wanted to make sure we had the best board before us, and we didn't want to deprive you of the opportunity to hear this hearing. So we did want to have a recall.
I hear the smoke.
There was an oversight on the liquor board application. So this is a hearing. This is a matter that came up at 2220 North Charles Street, and this board approved it about a year ago. There was a discrepancy with the landlord. There was some issue that didn't work out.
I think we're familiar with it. So
we moved it across the street. This is a new BD7 under Old Goucher, requiring $50,000 of spending. They've spent wildly in excess of that at this time, and we can certainly provide receipts when we pick the license up. The zoning isn't required in advance of the liquor board approval, but we do actually have the zoning in place. We don't have the use permit because they're still building.
But the zoning includes the outdoor table service?
Outdoor table service, live entertainment, absolutely.
Okay.
And the outdoor tables, I think for the most part, are going to be in the back courtyard, which is technically private property. But that was something that was the reason we wanted to come back, just a discrepancy there.
Okay.
Live entertainment is going to be something that's a function once or twice a year. It's really not going to be a weekly situation either. We do have approval letters, I think, from the Charles Village Civic Association. I think they're in the file. We do have members from GRIA, as well as Old Goucher here as well, if you'd like to testify. But we had significant community support. This is a legislative change that was done specifically for the purpose of these licenses going in place in Old Goucher. The licensee, as well as his, general manager or assistant manager, Mr. Foy, have somewhere in the neighborhood of in excess of 30 years' experience between them, and they're members of the neighborhood, and we're looking forward to opening, I think, in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Is that correct? Next month.
So, Mr. Doerr, you have a lot of experience in this?
Brendan Doerr. Yes, I have over 20 years in the restaurant business, more than 15 years behind bars, managing from behind
15 years behind bars? That's a recommendation.
Cocktail bars. And my partner, Eric Foy, we've been bartending for almost most of that 15 years together. So
That's Mr. Foy?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we have combined over 30 years experience managing staff, running bars, everything that goes along with knowing how to operate a business.
Okay, and in addition to the support from the community organizations, were there any restrictions or anything that they imposed?
Not to my knowledge. This isn't a location that's going to be kind of a rowdy sort of establishment. It's going to be a quiet cocktail bar. Again, a couple times a year, they're going to have live entertainment just as kind of an accessory to that use. Tables outside. I think there's a goal that they're going to close in the evening. This is Mr. Kelly Cross,
Yeah.
on Neighborhood Association.
Kelly Cross, President of the Old Goucher Community Association. Nice to see you all again. Yes, we are incredibly excited and thrilled to have this establishment open. We really have been curating what's coming into the neighborhood. Brendan and Eric are just amazing operators. Really proud to have them opening a business in Old Goucher.
Okay, thanks. The councilman wanted to say something, I believe.
Yeah, real quick. I truly support this. I think this is great for Charles Street, but I believe we need to show people that Baltimore is a friendly business city. to our small business in Baltimore City.
Okay. So the only not hurdle, not to pun on you, was that the legislative drafter erred in the piece of legislation that was submitted in terms of the location for
Correct.
the license. So we were aware of that, and Delegate McIntosh had requested advice from the Office of the Attorney General with respect to that, and we're in possession of a letter from Mr. Stamper of the Attorney General's office indicating that there is authority to allow us because of the intent of the legislature to approve this, but recommending that the legislature cure the defect in the next session. So at least from my perspective, while I'm prepared to vote to approve it, I would want it to be contingent on the fact that the legislature will do that. Otherwise, we might have to rescind because it is not literally authorized by the current legislation. So they've got to fix this, okay? So I hope someone will tell Delegate McIntosh to get on that, okay?
And Mr. Chairman, let me just ask, but just so we're clear, the intent of the legislation, is to include Lovegrove, or corrective legislation in 2020 is to include the Lovegrove section, right? I'm trying to incorporate.
Yes,
Right.
that's correct.
So that, because that's what's not included now, but based on the Attorney General's letter, we're permitted based upon the intent and the error. As long
Correct,
as
and my
there's-
understanding is that'll be handled in this session
Okay.
going forward.
Okay, so just so you understand, Mr. Dorr, at least my vote will be to approve it, subject to that correction. So we got to make sure you get it corrected.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I also concur with that finding, and with the same corrections that were said. If they are true, my concurrence.
Yeah, so I too would approve the application for new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license with the live entertainment and outdoor table service, so long, or it's contingent upon introduction and passage of corrective legislation in the upcoming legislative session.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. May be excused.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody's attendance.
I call exhibits for the record. Exhibit number 1, letter of support from Charles Village Civic Association dated February 8th, 2019. Board Exhibit 2, Attorney General letter dated July 17th, 2019. Thank you.
We're going to go back in order. Limoncello Italian Restaurant and Wine Bar, 900 East Ford Avenue, Suite 101, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B, beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-1604, small h, number 3, small I, which includes capital investment of $500,000, 51% food sales, and at least 75 seats, but not more than 150 individuals, requesting live entertainment and outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good morning, members of the board. Nice to meet you. Haven't had the pleasure yet of being in front of this board. My name is Joseph McQueenie. I am the attorney for Mark Spoltonic. He is he's here today on behalf of Limoncello of Baltimore LLC, trading or doing business as Limoncello Italian Restaurant and Wine Bar, which will be located at 900 East Fort Avenue, Suite 101 in Baltimore, Maryland.
Are you Mr. Spitalnik? Would you raise your right hand, please, sir?
I do.
Okay.
And so obviously the application itself is an application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with outdoor table service and live entertainment. The application, as presently constituted, includes the financial form, the background check confirmation, the articles of organization, an operating agreement, commercial lease, depiction of the premises, a floor plan diagram, the complete permit set, proof of zoning payments, an investment cost, sample menu, a copy of the applicant's voter registration card, and the online use and occupancy permit application for live entertainment and outdoor seating. So to the extent that that's not part of the record, it certainly would move to admit that as, collectively as the applicant's Exhibit 1.
It will be. What's the amount of the investment at this point?
The amount of the investment is $850,000, and that's established through the building permit set that was provided. I would note as well, the total seating occupancy is 147. So within the range of the 75 to 150 seats that is required.
Okay.
So certainly don't know the general procedure by which this board chooses to proceed normally, but certainly would imagine the board would rather hear from the applicant than me. So with that in mind, I'd ask him a couple of questions and allow him to testify.
Please do. And let me just, before you begin, so we have a letter from the Riverside Neighborhood Association, which I assume is the local
Yes.
community organization, and they've entered into a memorandum of understanding with your client, is that correct?
That is correct.
And do we have a copy of that MOU?
It is part of the application attached to the commercial lease. I have a second copy to the extent that you would like to see it independently.
I assume there are restrictions on your
Yes.
hours.
And we'll discuss that certainly in
Okay.
Mr.
And
Spitalik's testimony.
Mr. Spitalnik, are you in agreement to have those restrictions become a part of your license?
I am.
Okay, thank you. Now, go ahead, tell us about your
So
operation.
good morning. Will you state name and address for the record?
My name is Mark Spitalnik. My address is 1401 Riverside Avenue.
How long have you lived at that address?
3 months.
And how long have you lived in the city of Baltimore?
Over 2.5 years.
A United States citizen?
I am.
And are you registered to vote in the city of Baltimore?
I am.
And have you ever had an application for a liquor license?
Never.
Have you ever had an application denied for any reason?
Never.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony, or any law governing the sale of alcoholic beverages or any other offense in the state of Maryland? And are you financially interested in any other business for which a license has been applied or granted?
I am not.
Are you married or do you have children?
Not at all.
And are you indebted in any way to any, brewer, manufacturer, distiller, or wholesaler of alcohol?
I am not.
And if the board sees fit to grant you a license, would you continue to honor all laws and regulations governing the sale of alcoholic beverages?
Absolutely.
And
Have he been certified? Or are you going to manage the operation, sir?
I am.
and that's,
And do you have any experience in that field?
I do. I have 22 years, various degrees within the business, but mainly management, running bars, being behind them, and working for other management.
So you're alcohol certified? Or
I'm actually registered. My TIPS has lapsed, so I'm recertifying as we speak.
Okay.
Online, and all of our staff, it's going to be a requirement for anyone who works in the establishment. We all must be TIPS certified of some variety.
how
do you
big
have-
will your staff be?
Ask
How big
again.
will your staff be?
That's to be determined. Approximately 25 to 30 front of the house.
Are you selling alcohol besides limoncello?
I'm not. I am. Under that roof, yes.
It's not
I
a
mean,
trick
that's
question.
Yes.
Quite a diet to just drink limoncello.
Can't live on that alone.
Okay, do the commissioners have questions?
None?
Did have one question that now escapes me. You talked about your experience. And this license was authorized by the General Assembly at the Anthem House location, is that correct? Up to 5 licenses, and you're one of them, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
certainly the board can check me on that, but I believe there's 3 outstanding, and so limoncello would be the 4th,
Okay.
Thank you.
certainly.
Is there anything further?
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then the materials contained in the application and the, having met the standards for the license, the proffer from council testimony received, including the memorandum of understanding with Riverside Neighborhood Association, I would vote to approve the application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license requesting live entertainment and outdoor table service subject to the terms of the MOU, to the extent that's enforceable by law.
I concur with that finding.
I too approve the new Class B license with live entertainment and outdoor table service, subject to the terms of the MOU, to the extent they're enforceable by law.
Good luck, sir.
Have a nice day. Thank you. Take care.
Mr. McQueenie?
Yes.
I call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, Business Plan. Board Exhibit 1, Letter of Support from Riverside Association. Thank you.
Refocused, 429 North Utah Street, 1N, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B, beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-1603, small c, number 1, small I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment, facilities and fixtures, 40% food sales, seating capacity of a minimum of 75 people. This is a request for outdoor table service, off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Are you Mr. Jeffries?
Yes, I am.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Are you going to testify as well, ma'am?
I am.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so Is this a request for the license or for addition to the license?
It's a request for the license. I purchased a license from the previous owner when I purchased the property, and it lapsed. It was not in good standing, so I decided to do a new application.
Okay. So you have a use permit for restaurant with outdoor table service and off-premise catering?
I have a usage, I'm updating my occupancy and usage license right now, permit currently right now.
And what has the investment been in the property?
2,000.
2,000?
No, excuse me, $216,950.
Okay. And what's your seating capacity?
75.
Okay. You just meet the
Lieutenant Jones from the Fire Marshal's Department, and that document's turned in with my occupancy and usage.
Okay. And so we have a letter from Market Center Merchants Association supporting the application. And is that your organization, ma'am? So would you come up and identify yourself, please, ma'am?
My name is Ann Winder, and I'm on the board of the Market Center Association.
Okay. And did you want to tell us anything in addition to the letter?
We welcome him to the neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. And your background, Mr. Jeffries?
My background is actually education. I've been retired assistant principal from Baltimore City Public Schools, worked as an educational consultant for Discovery Education. About the past 5 years, I've been doing catering and events for my food business, and was looking for a lease for the past 3 years. So this is the business lease was signed in November. The business opened roughly in February. It's been operating since.
And are you operating alone, or do you have others with you?
I have I have managers and bar managers for that aspect. If you're talking about just the bar,
Are they certified?
yes, they are tip certified. Actually, bar manager number one is Natasha Newsom. She's currently the bar manager at Noor Lounge on York Road.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
Tell us about you're being taped, and I assume that's your adorable daughter. But tell us about your restaurant. Tell us what's the theme. Tell us about it.
Great question. I would love to talk about that, actually. So I have a vegan restaurant built for people to kind of have access to vegan cooking, vegan cuisine without being scared away by the whole salads. Vegans only eat grab-it food and things like that. So it's a lot of good, wholesome food. Veganized American comfort food, and we kind of want to continue that to the bar as well. We don't want to serve this. We're not looking to do we have a bar literally 3 doors down owned by this wonderful young lady here, and there's a lounge nightclub or something about 2 blocks up. So we're definitely not trying to service that same community. We just wanted some type of addition to our normal offerings, like organic cocktails, freshly squeezed juices blended with the cocktails. We wanted to do something different for the area. Definitely chose that location intentionally because it is an area that doesn't have many healthy food options, and bar I think could go right along with the theme and concept as well.
Great. That's great. Thank you. And, assuming we approve this, you'll have to show the receipts of.
I have them.
Great. Thank you. Nothing further.
I'm good.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Jeffries?
You tell me. I'm new here,
I don't want to cut you off. Now, on the basis of the materials contained in your application, the testimony that we've received today, the letter of support from Market Center Merchants Association, and testimony from their board member, I would vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
I concur.
And I, too, would approve the new Class B license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering. Good luck.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Jeffries. Likewise, exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Market Center Merchant Association. Thank you.
Zeke's Coffee, 4719 Harford Road, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B, beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-1603, small c, number 1, small I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment, seating capacity for a minimum of 75 people, requesting outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kudensky representing the applicants.
Good morning. Would all those to Mr. Kudensky's right please raise your right hands?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. It's an application for a new Class B license. The applicants have been at that location within a couple feet for the last 13 years operating Zeke's Coffee. They've seen an opportunity now to be able to apply for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. They have the support of the community. You know, it's always good to have them on that side instead of this side. But and they're smiling, so that's even better, isn't it? I'll hand to you a packet, if I can, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman. And
Thank you.
and that would indicate the seating capacity, 88 inside, 10 outside. The menu, which you've got another copy of at this point, that was given to you, and then the capital investment that was between the landlord and the applicants is over $600,000. They're revitalizing that whole area there. Also, you have letters of support, which in your packet from Harbell, Moravia Walther Improvement Association, and the Lauraville Business Association. In addition, there too, it's always nice when I get these letters. There's, I'd like to use the word plethora of letters that I'll just submit from everybody in the community. There's probably half a dozen other business people. There are business people in the area that are all in favor of this. As far as the operation, the applicant and his wife and in-law so far will be there all the time operating. They all have had alcohol experience in the past. They're all going to get alcohol certified and also see that their staff gets certified. They'll keep their same hours of operation that they have. This time probably extend that a little bit as they go along.
So, what, it's a coffee shop, but so what kind of alcohol are they going to, I see there are crabs in the coffee or something?
Crab flavored coffee.
So it's, you're just gonna, it's regular beer, wine?
Yeah, the normal alcohol that would be, you might get a flavored coffee if you want, Irish coffee. Now you get the limoncello people involved. My wife one day drank a whole bottle of limoncello in Capri, and
bet
it
she didn't
was
feel
not, it's tough carrying your last 3 blocks.
Okay, and any of the community people want to say anything?
We have some people from the community, maybe you want to step up?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What Mr. Kadinsky didn't say is the roads have been that this establishment is within the boundaries of the Moravia Walther Improvement Association. The roads are residents within the community association, been members of it. And in fact, the community association has met at their old location and this location for a number of years. They've been in Northeast Baltimore for 13 years. They're valued by many people in the entire area, and they employ a lot of local residents. So this is the type of licensee that the community is just thrilled to see an application from.
Okay. And echoed by everyone else here? Okay.
Let me submit it at this point, unless the board has any other questions.
Commissioners have questions?
Just a comment. I don't live too far from this institution, and I'm pleased with it. I'm very pleased with it. And,
Thank you very much.
I see a lot of cars drive up and down the street with your
Fueled by Zeke's?
name on it. So I'm very pleased.
Is this the original Zeke's?
Yes, sir.
It is. Okay, so this is where it all started. And now you're, okay, great.
And we're in Pittsburgh and DC as well, but they're licensees, but family members.
Okay. Thank you then. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, testimony received, and the exhibits received, the basics requirements for the license having been met, I would vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
I concur.
I too would approve the new Class B license with outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, menu. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Harbell Community Association. Board Exhibit 2, letter of support from Moravia Walther Community Association. Number 3, letter of support from Lauraville Improvement Association. Exhibit number 4, 6 letters of support from community.
Okay, thank you.
Cookhouse, 1501 Bolton Street, Class D, beer and wine license, amended application to transfer ownership with continuation outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Council, we take note that you had a very difficult time getting out of the seat.
Judge, it's absolutely true. It gets harder every year. Good morning, Judge Matriciani and Associate Commissioners. David F. Mister, Mr. Winter, and Bartlett representing the applicants.
Good morning, good to see you. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Will you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, what do we have?
As Mr. Page indicated, this is essentially an amended application. It was virtually a year ago, it was August 23rd, this board originally approved the application for the transfer of this license from the cafe at 1501 Bolton. Because of construction delays and things occasioned by that, we weren't able to comply with, I still refer to it as 10504D. I haven't memorized the new code section yet. Because of that, and we realized that we were not going to be able to get completed with the 270-day period, we filed this amendment to the application. So nothing has changed at all. I would remind you that Mr. and Mrs. Daly are not only business people in this community, besides having acquired this location and business, they have On the Hill Cafe, which doesn't hold an alcoholic beverages license, but is a restaurant cafe in Bolton Hill. They also reside in Bolton Hill and have for a number of years. They live within a block or so of this location, and they're active members of that community. They're supported, I think, by the community there. I will tell you that it's our ambition to come back before this board soon for a full service license, because as we have gone through the process, the rigors of the reconstruction there, we've identified that we will easily meet the statutory requirements for investment to get a full service beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license, but that'll be for another day. So I would just tell the board that there aren't going to be any changes. We do anticipate now that we probably will be able to get construction completed and open the doors by, do you think, Mr. Daly, October?
Well, we hope
Is that
late
ambitious?
October, beginning of November.
Okay. And otherwise, no other changes. And,
Do the Dalys have experience with alcohol?
Go ahead, George, you answer that.
I rented a restaurant downtown in Federal Hill called Centro. The license wasn't mine. It was the restaurant, belonged to the restaurant. So I was there for 2 years. And yes,
What was your duties there?
well, I was the owner. I did, I was owner chef. So I run the restaurant daily.
And you all sold alcoholic beverages there?
Yes, we did. Beer and wine.
And is your wife going to work in this place? No, you're just along.
I'm here for moral support. I'm an active member of the community. I sell real estate.
Okay.
Any issues at the Centros place when you were?
No.
No
It
liquor
was just-
license issues?
We had actually a 2-year lease, and we ended that 2-year lease.
How many people will be handling alcohol at Cookhouse?
Well, the bartenders and servers,
And they'll be tip certified?
they will. Yeah, absolutely. And I will too.
Okay.
I have been before, but expired.
Commissioner, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application for transfer of the license ownership with continuation of outdoor table service.
I concur with those findings.
And I too would approve the amended application to transfer ownership with the continuation of outdoor table service.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
No exhibits for the record.
Lime Tree Liquors, 1720 East Northern Parkway, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership, request and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
Council?
Good morning, J.U. representing the applicants.
And would these folks raise their right hands, please?
You raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Yu, what do we have here today?
Before we start, Mr. Ryan Kay is the husband of Mrs. Chen Hong. He will be doing some interpretation for the wife. She does speak some English, but we want to make sure that she's.
Do we need to swear him as an interpreter? It's what we have.
Is it Korean?
Chinese.
Chinese. Do you swear or affirm to translate this hearing to the best of your ability from Chinese to English, or from English to Chinese, and Chinese back to English?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan K.
Spelled K-E.
Yeah, K.
This is a request for a transfer of a current existing Class A license that is located within the Loch Raven Shopping Center of our Loch Raven Boulevard. Mrs. Hong is the applicant, and Mr. Huggins is the resident agent licensee. He's currently on the license. He has been on the license for, I believe, over 10 years, like almost 10 years.
I'm a little harder.
Yeah. So you've been a licensee
Yes.
for almost 10 years?
Yes, over 10 years.
Over 10 years. So he agreed to remain as the resident agent licensee. Mr. Huggins obviously is qualified. He's been a lifetime resident in Baltimore City. He's the property owner and registered voter with clean record. He was in the Army for a long time, and he was with the Baltimore City Fire Department before he retired. Ms. Chan has been in business, in grocery business. Now she's moving on to liquor business. She does have limited experience in retail liquor sales, but she does have some experience in serving beer, wine, and liquor, as she worked for Katana Japanese restaurant in Canton. She worked there since February of 2018. She's certified in alcohol awareness training, and Mr. K will be working with her at the store. She will also be trained by the seller for a month before. He promised to train her as long as she gets comfortable. Obviously, you know, it's in his best interest to make sure that she's successful, because there might be some financing involved as well. So she lives in Baltimore City, and she is waiting to get her citizenship. So as soon as she gets her citizenship, she will qualify as the resident agent license as well. She underwent the extensive studying period with the rules and regulations. I gave her a copy of the rules book, and she studied it very hard on top of the training that she got. So I believe she'll be successful.
And one of the main issues with packaged goods stores is sales to minors. You've emphasized that with her?
Yes, we did. And on top of that, to the intoxicated person as well.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application and the proffers from council and any testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of the license with delivery of alcoholic beverages.
I concur.
And I too would approve the transfer with the delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No exhibits for the record.
A&L Liquor Store, 452 North Patterson Park Avenue, Class A2, beer, wine, and liquor license. Request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the address of 452 North Patterson Park Avenue did receive notice on or about 1/2/2018 regarding the new zoning standards and must come into compliance no later than June the 4th, 2019. Thank you.
For the record, Melvin J. Dempsey representing the licensee. This is a request for a hardship extension. The lease at this location had expired. The landlord did not want to renew it based on, of course, the zoning changes and so forth. So the applicant, who's the licensee here, has been a licensee for about 12 years, wants an opportunity to either find another location or sell the license.
Okay. And this is for a 90-day or 180-day?
180 days,
180.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I see.
And closed on the, I think the 31st, 31st of
Last year.
December 2018. So it would be up to like December 25, Christmas.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the letter received by the board requesting the hardship extension, the proffers from council, and the other materials contained in the application, I'd vote to approve a 180-day hardship extension.
I concur with the extension.
I too would grant the hardship extension for 180 days, not to exceed 360.
Good luck.
No exhibits for the record.
Yeah, I believe so.
The board's going to hear the case for 901 South Clinton Street. Applicants and attorney received notice announcing the day and time. Unfortunately, the time was incorrect on the notice. The scheduled time is for 11 a.m. docket. Call the case of Brick Row Pub, 901 South Clinton Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service, requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the applicants in this case. This was originally a case that was here about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm pinch hitting for Mr. Fogelman, who has the luxury of probably taking off and going on a vacation. And the situation was there originally were 3 applicants, and one of the applicants came off, so the same 2 that were there before are on, except they each one of them 50%. This is an application transfer of a license that's been on Clinton Street years ago. It may be of some interest to the chairman, only because the guy that owned it was, they called it the Cardinal, and the Cardinal was from Calvert Hall. I did the transfer much to, I was a little resistive, but somehow when they gave me money, it changed my mind. They have been in this particular location since May, running the place and management. They've had some prior experience. One of the individuals here worked at Port Richards in Towson, if anybody remembers. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Port Richards. And it'll be the same operation. They are scheduled to take the alcohol awareness course. They've been with the community, plus they've been there since May, and there won't be any change. They kept some of the same employees that were there from before.
Let's just swear them. Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to do in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And you are brothers, cousins?
Brothers.
Brothers, okay. But you're not cardinals?
I'm sorry, we are not Cardinal.
Okay.
I'm Chris, yeah.
Okay, and your experience in this business is?
I worked at Port Richards.
He indicated that.
prior.
When was that?
89 through 95, 6, somewhere in that range.
And do you have any experience in the alcohol business, sir?
No, I'm a teacher.
Oh, okay. You're just on the license as the resident? Okay. And where do you teach?
Century High School, Sykesville.
Oh, okay. So, how many people are going to be involved in sale of alcohol?
The sale of alcohol would be 5.
And will they be tip certified?
Absolutely. Also going to be Serve Safe certified as well.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Just one. Have you ever been violated while working at Port Richard?
No.
Are you going to keep the name? This is actually literally a block from my house. Are you keeping the name Cardinal? Or are you changing it to Brick Row Pub?
We are eventually going to change it. We want to upgrade the menu a little bit.
Were you counseled by Mr. Kadinsky on that?
Oh, no, actually it wasn't.
In terms of the name?
Yeah.
Okay. And about 5 individuals will be serving alcohol, and you've been there since May. Anything you learned of interest that you didn't know about?
That he lives nearby.
Well, that's
plenty about the building, but
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits received, proper from council and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of the license with continued outdoor table service and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
I concur with the findings.
I too would approve the transfer with the continuation of outdoor table service and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Good luck, gentlemen.
thank you.
No exhibits.
Mr. Page, is that the morning docket?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Would you please tell Larry?
Larry? 1 p.m.
Gotta give him a speaking part one of these days.
Yes. Mr. Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the PM docket of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Preliminary matter on the PM docket, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, case number 13547 Chestnut Avenue. This case has been postponed. Call the case of Dovecote Cafe, 2501 Madison Avenue, Class D, beer and wine license, amended application to transfer ownership and location of a Class D beer and wine license presently located at 2556 Madison Avenue to 2501 Madison Avenue, requesting outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Justin Williams from the law firm Rosenberg Martin Greenberg on behalf of the applicants Dovecote Cafe LLC.
Good afternoon. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you have in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Proceed by way of proffer, then I'll let the, I guess.
Oh, Brian Salisbury, I live next door.
Okay, I'll let Mr. Salisbury, I guess, ask questions if you have any.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's some exhibits I'll be given.
Okay, sure.
It's on the board. So as Mr. Page mentioned, this is application to transfer the license, Class D beer and wine license that was currently held by Andy's Food Mart at 2556 Madison Avenue to the applicants. There's some history. I think the board's file, and I saw that the summary sheet had some of the background of it. The board previously approved the transfer of ownership at 2556 Madison Avenue to the applicants, Cole and Aisha Pugh, in September 2018. However, due to delays in obtaining financing and death in the family, they could not complete the transfer within 180 days, they thought. So before the last day of the transfer period, they amended the application pursuant to 12-1107, which suspends the impact of the 180-day rule, and they've amended it to transfer to their existing location at Dovecote Cafe, which is about two blocks down or 1 block down? Half a block down from the former location at 2556 Madison Avenue.
Right. Can you just, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure I understand. Can you, so there, we initially transferred to 2556 Madison Avenue, but due to building issues and other circumstances, you couldn't complete the transfer?
Right, and so before the 180-day period, or I guess we got a one-time extension, and Cole came before the board about a month and a half ago.
Right.
Before the last day of the transfer period expired, we amended the application, which suspends the impact of that, I guess, 180-day rule.
My question is more focused on what's at 2501 Madison Avenue now?
Right now, so it's Dovecote Cafe, and it's an existing restaurant cafe that we'll go through today. And
So our initial approval was then to transfer from doing just the opposite of what your request is today?
no, the initial request was to
Transfer the license.
to transfer ownership of the license at the same location at what was Andy's Food Mart.
Oh, I see, at the 25, I got it, okay.
Yep, 2556.
Now they want to move it.
Right, got it.
Right, so that's where we are procedurally. And I guess to address preemptively, I read Mr. Salisbury?
Salisbury.
Sorry, Salisbury's, Salisbury's letter. This isn't in the case where the applicants went out and bought a new license. This was a license they sort of had by chance when they bought the building at 2556 Madison Avenue. And I'll go through some of the operational details, but they don't anticipate any change to the
I'm sorry, my phone.
Dovecote Cafe operation.
So these pictures that you have sent us, are they of 2556 Madison?
Yep, so those ones in your hands are the new location at 2501, the proposed location.
This is
Proposed. Well,
I see, okay.
I can go
had it
through it in
backwards.
turn or
I
whatever.
have it backwards. This is where you want to go?
Correct.
Okay. And can I just ask Mr. Salisbury, where do you live?
I live literally next door, sir. The house with the fence around
On
it.
this side or that side?
The left-hand side, sir.
This side?
That side, exactly.
Okay, okay. All right, so we've already approved them to operate the liquor license. Question is where, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And so, I'll skip through.
And have you all had any opportunity to speak?
No, actually, I just recently found that they're actually trying to transfer a license like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when you had the yellow sign. So I guess my biggest issue I had is it's been like over 6 months. They could have easily stopped by, and since my quality of life is being, I guess, infringed upon, you had more than enough opportunity to actually stop by and say, hey, this is what we plan to do. These are the parameters in which we plan to operate way ahead of time. So it kind of makes me a little bit more leery going forward as far as if communication is not the best now, what's going to happen when the operation license is actually transferred and I have to contact them with issues.
Well, I guess, to some extent, you're correct. They could have come and knocked on your door.
Yes,
But on the other hand, I'm not sure they knew that you opposed it at that point. So have you had any conversations since you made that known?
Brief conversations, but the issue I have with verbal conversations versus documentation, there's 3 things that happen. He said, she said, and I don't remember that. Then when you come to hearing, it's like, oh, I don't remember that, or I thought that you meant this, and it just becomes, I guess, a quagmire versus having things, or one of the things I would have requested was, okay, well, if you plan to transfer, what are the operating parameters going to be? And then if I had an issue with those parameters, we could easily discuss them before it came before the board.
But maybe you could do that. So
Yes, sir.
what was here?
Do you know?
It doesn't look like a normal house. Was it?
I think a pharmacy.
It was a pharmacy. Oh, sorry. It originally
Sorry,
was a
excuse me.
pharmacy and then has had many different lives as corner stores and a deli, and it was vacant for almost a decade before we rented it.
And are you Ms. Cole or Ms. Pugh?
I'm Cole.
Okay, all right, thank you. So it's been vacant.
It was vacant before we rented it and then bought the building, and we moved in 4 years ago and opened the cafe. Yeah, that was before Brian moved in.
Okay.
He was working on the house next door.
What's at the corner, what's that corner? Madison and what street?
It's right above Whitelock on Madison Ave, right before you get to Whitelock. So we're halfway in the middle of the block. It's a very residential neighborhood, so there are only 2 liquor licenses in the entire neighborhood. And essentially, we're asking to turn the carryout license, to take one of those and to actually attach it to the building and the restaurant, which everybody else in the neighborhood's been really excited about. But there are very few retail locations in the neighborhood.
Okay, so you're essentially going to run a restaurant, what hours?
Yep, so the BMZA granted approval to use the premises as a restaurant and cafe and with outdoor table service, and they put as a condition of the approval that they cannot only operate between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., the entire premises. We, on the record, will agree voluntarily to limit outdoor table service to 10 p.m., so you can make that as a condition of the license.
And that's 7 days a week?
Correct.
Okay.
But as currently, they don't operate in the evenings regularly. There's occasional events in the evening, but they don't anticipate to change the current operation, which is beloved by most people in the community. I understand there's some discrepancy, but they are planning to be a morning cafe and lunchtime place with occasional evening meals, and they have chefs come in and do pop-up dinners and occasional meet and greets and poetry.
Yeah, but people actually live there. It's an actual neighborhood. So around 5, 6 o'clock, people are dropping off their kids they're returning home from work either around 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I work myself, I work as a nurse anesthetist, which means I work varying hours, from 8 to 12 hours. Sometimes I'm on call. I mean, to simply have activity going on around 10 o'clock, it's kind of like, to me, it's unacceptable. I don't mind the cafe there. It's been very well run, but my issue is that when you infuse alcohol into any situation, no matter how formal, no matter how well heeled it may be, things can turn bad. And then there's actual, since it's open 7 days a week, there's actual, even if it only happens 1 day a week, that's 52 times a year. And then this is house I plan to be here for at least a couple of decades. And another issue I have is because liquor licenses are also, I don't want to say hard to get rid of, or because there's so much resistance to remove them, such as the alcohol establishments. Even though they aren't Class D, they are taverns, these who sell packaged liquor. Like there's a liquor establishment on the corner of North Avenue and Linden, if I'm not aware, and that's had multiple problems, multiple shootings. It's just people have tried to remove the liquor license from those establishments, and I feel like we would just have that much more difficulty if that came to pass.
If they
Yes,
meet
sir.
the statutory standards for non-renewal, they're not renewed.
Yes, sir.
But, I mean, what you're suggesting is anecdotal. I don't know which specific case you're talking about. Every year, they have to renew, and when there are protests to their renewals, we hear the cases to determine whether or not they should be renewed. Sometimes we renew, sometimes we don't. If you can establish by the evidence that they're not living up to their requirements. This I mean, this area where you live is zoned so that such an establishment can be there. You must have known that when you bought.
Not the alcohol, sir. As far as the store, the pharmacy, I understood that. The previous owner was basically, it was empty space until the slaves developed it into a cafe. But as far as, it's just the alcohol portion. And I'm not trying to, I guess, have the alcohol license removed from them. I think it would be better served remaining at 2556, where it has less of an impact on the neighborhood.
To address some of the concerns raised, so I've included some exhibits in the file. The current location, well, where the license currently is legally at 2556 Madison Avenue, it was a packaged good establishment, Andy's Food Mart. You see, there was the plexiglass in the windows and the bars and the doors, sort of the condition you would picture with a negative liquor store. And obviously, there's pictures in the file of Dovecote Cafe, which has much more homely, community-based feel. Only 28 people can fit, or 22? 22 people inside, and usually 4 or 5 tables. I guess the zoning board allowed up to 40 people outside, but seated when they're served. So this is a different kind of operation where it's going to be a traditional cafe. Additionally, the applicants own the entire building with 5 units upstairs, and so any impact to the neighbor would also impact their tenants, and they have a financial interest, and they've shown a track record of being conscientious to the community, so they would be impacted too, the tenants and the community itself. We've been before the board several times with the applicants, but I've included again copies of glowing reviews of the restaurant. People really support what they're trying to do in the community. There's a petition also signed by 120 residents and community members and patrons of the establishment supporting the transfer of the license, as well as a letter of support from the Reservoir Hill Improvement Council and the Friends of Reservoir Hill, I think Friends of Reservoir Hill group as well.
Okay, so let me just ask you this, because Mr. Salisbury lives right next door and has reasonable concerns. Is there someone that he can contact on a regular basis if he has problems?
Absolutely. So he has my cell phone number. We've actually been neighbors now for a few years. We pick up packages for each other. And certainly always encourage you, Brian, as Aisha did when she spoke with you. Brian also posted on kind of our next door neighbor to raise concerns, and there was a thread of almost 40 comments, all of which were appreciating him for raising questions and concerns because we believe in good debate in our neighborhood, but really encouraging him to recognize that it's not likely that we will become the liquor store that he's speaking about on North Ave. And so definitely he also filed a concern with Reservoir Hill Improvement Council and with Friends of Reservoir Hill. So I definitely think we want to all make sure that your concerns are being heard, and that certainly you can always reach out to me or Aisha, and you have both of our cell phone numbers if anything comes up, and we want to continue to be good neighbors.
What the issue is what's the biggest concern of mine is just the timing. It's almost like this is being done backdoorish, where you're only letting certain people know. You really aren't involving the people who live in a direct vicinity. I understand that you have 150 people who are supporting it, but it's easy to simply go someplace, have dinner, have a drink, and if things are too loud to be able to get up and walk away and go walk about a block away to your own home, versus when you have that situation occurring every year. Now, if we had more of a better dialogue, maybe I would have been more amenable to that, because they would have been able to actually, I think there's something called a memorandum for, I can't think what the technical name is. For understanding that could have been placed on the actual contract, then we could have moved forward. But since I don't want to say it's deliberate, but I can't prove that, I'm just very, very concerned going forward that my needs will actually be met or heard or simply be brushed off based upon the actual experience. And I know
we typically do not have a memorandum of understanding with an individual. They're usually with the neighborhood association, a group of people that would raise the concern. So if you're a member of your neighborhood association, and if they want to discuss such a memorandum with them, I'm sure Mr. Williams would be happy to discuss that with you and see if there are concerns. But I think you might want to live with it for a while and see what problems exist.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, we did reach out proactively to the Reservoir Hill Improvement Council and the Friends of Reservoir Hill and the community. The property was posted. So I understand it might be perceived as like a backdoor dealing, but there was public outreach, and we are open to being reasonable. We agreed voluntarily without pressure to limit outdoor seating to 10 p.m. under liquor license. And that can be a condition placed in the license. And if there is a change in operators or owners, there have to be a public hearing before the board, so that if there was a change, like they left and some potential bad operator came in, then you would have a public hearing on that process.
Wouldn't it be, I guess a question I have, would it be possible to maybe postpone this meeting? Because I was not even contacted by the Reservoir Improvement Council about what was going on about as far as the transfers of license. And another issue I have is they've had possessed the building of 2556 for several years. They've had more than ample time enough to renovate this building and turn it into a restaurant. In fact, I have a copy of the permit request, which was originally posted in February of 2017. So as far as them simply being able to transfer, it's more of a matter of convenience than actual any type of asset to the community. I can provide that if you would like to see it.
You can give us,
Yes, sir.
if you want to enter it in, Devin.
Oops. Excuse me. So you've had more than ample time enough to get this building up and running.
They've been in front of us, Mr. Salisbury,
Yes,
they've been
sir.
in front of us on a number of occasions with respect to that property and some of the challenges they've faced. So that's certainly been on the record with respect to this license.
Yes, sir, but I don't see, as far as the license, I don't see how that will prevent them as far as being able to renovate the building. It seems that once they would have gotten a liquor license, they would be able to maybe stock the building with alcoholic beverages. But I'm assuming that during that time, they should have been able to renovate the building and I guess have it ready in case it was approved.
I think we're going a little bit
Oh,
far
sorry.
afield, but no, you're okay. They're good questions. Now, I think the issue is that they weren't able to get the license issued, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Williams, because there were problems with the building, and they kept coming back to us explaining those problems, and that's why they had to come back and realize, and they recognized, I assume, that they couldn't have the license at that building because of the problems with the interior or exterior, whatever it may be.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, this will be received. Do you have any questions, Commissioner?
Well, just a comment. Just listening to both sides. You guys sound like you have the dialogue. I mean, you can communicate with one another. If by chance this request is approved and you have to live next door to this establishment, keep good records while dialoguing with them. And if your dialogue doesn't change, keep better records. So when it's time for them to renew that license, then you have a more solid ground to stand on to protest because you have your record. If police calls are made, you got a police report, and you can support your request to not have that license renewed. So just keep the dialogue open and see what happens.
You know, I understand your concerns. I mean, they are, like I said, they have 5 units upstairs above their own business, so they have an interest, just as you do, to keep the peace and quiet and allow people to have use and enjoyment of their property. And you haven't mentioned any previous problems with the operators, and so hopefully going forward, we don't intend there to be any, but we'll have open dialogue, and there is the annual renewal process by which, if there were complaints that weren't addressed to your satisfaction, come back and discuss it in front of the board.
Okay, Commissioners, are we ready to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, the testimony received, as well as all the exhibits received, both from the applicants and from Mr. Salisbury, I would vote to approve the application to transfer the ownership and location of the Class D beer and wine license presently located 2556 Madison Avenue to 2501 Madison Avenue with outdoor table service limited to 10 p.m. closing.
I concur with that finding.
I, too, would grant the amended application to transfer ownership and location of the Class D license presently located at 2556 Madison Avenue to 2501 Madison Avenue with outdoor table service with the restriction that it cannot exceed 10 p.m.
So we hope it all works out, but let us know, okay?
Oh, we will.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thanks.
I call exhibits for the record. Opposition Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Housing Permit Search Result. Board Exhibit 1, letter of opposition from neighbor Brian Salisbury. Applicant Exhibit 1, business plan.
Thanks so much.
You ready, Bryce?
Thank you.
Marriott Inner Harbor Hotel, 110 South Utah Street. Class B, Hotel Motel License, Beer, Wine, and Liquor License. An application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service, requesting off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Good afternoon. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg, here on behalf of the applicant. I am joined by our individual licensee applicants, Sam Chang and Ashley Klima, as well as Michael Broadhurst, who is the Senior Vice President for Operations for Crescent Hotels.
Good afternoon. Would you folks raise your right hands, please? Counsel?
With your permission, I'll proceed by way of a proffer. We're all here and able to answer any questions the board might have. This is a transfer of an existing Class B hotel license for the Baltimore Inner Harbor Marriott at Camden Yards, located at 110 South Utah Street. If Mr. Chang and Ms. Klima look familiar to you, that's because they were here a few years ago. Mr. Chang also owns the Radisson and Crown Plaza hotels at 101 West Fayette Street. The board approved the license at that location back in 2016. The board does have the authority to authorize a second hotel license to these two individual licensees under Section 121608, which authorizes up to 5 additional Class B hotel licenses. The premises where the license is located is, as I said, the Baltimore Marriott Inner Harbor Hotel at Camden Yards. It's the 4th largest hotel in the greater Baltimore area. It has 524 guest rooms and 30,000 square feet of meeting space and 2 restaurants. In the file of exhibits that I've handed out, you'll see an aerial photo showing the location of the hotel and its proximity to Camden Yards, as well as the Convention Center, the University of Maryland, the Biopark, and generally downtown. There's also an excerpt from the Baltimore Business Journal with the largest hotels in the greater Baltimore area. You'll see we are ranked number 4 in size. The property underwent a $3.1 million renovation in 2015. There's an article from the Baltimore Business Journal in the file regarding that as well as some photographs showing the renovations that occurred a few years ago. Mr. Chang acquired the hotel in July of this year for $29.9 million. He is a hotel developer based out of New York. He does have one other hotel, as I mentioned, in Baltimore City, and he plans to do about $25 million in new improvements in this hotel at this location. I've also included in the file, just for your record, a copy of the Liquor Board's dispositions for the prior hotel application that we had for Mr. Chang and Ms. Klima, who at the time was Ms. Rodriguez. So you'll see that as well in your file.
How extensive is the outdoor operation?
It's not terribly extensive. If Mr. Brothers may want to.
It's quite limited, the outdoor operation.
There's not much in it. And it's not on the street level, correct?
No,
it's
correct,
up. Yeah.
Oh, it's above, okay.
Yeah. There's a letter of support in the file from the Downtown Partnership based on Mr. Chang's track record at the other hotel and the high-quality services that he offers at that location. They're pleased to support the transfer of the license to him at this location. Crescent Hotels has been engaged to manage the hotel. They operate about 100 hotels throughout North America, including 15 in the Baltimore, Washington area, and the one other that Mr. Chang owns here in Baltimore. They've engaged a gentleman named Ed Book to serve as the hotel's general manager. He will start on September 9th, but his resume is included in the file just for your records. They will be requiring that all of their managers complete the alcoholic beverages safety training course, as well as all new associates who are hired. They will have to complete the training course within 90 days of their hire. To date, 22 of their 40 associates are already trained. The individual licensee applicants here, as I mentioned, are Mr. Chang and Ms. Klima, who are currently licensees on the Radisson and Crown Plaza hotels on Fayette Street. And as such, they are familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board and agree to abide by them. Ms. Klima is our Baltimore City resident licensee, and they are both authorized persons under SC Baltimore Hotel LLC. With regard to the criteria the board's required to consider in approving the transfer of the license, preliminarily the holders of a hotel license can be authorized to hold a second hotel license if that hotel has at least 100 rooms. This hotel has 524 rooms, so it obviously meets that requirement. There is a public need and desire for the license, as demonstrated by the letter of support from the Downtown Partnership. It is an existing license, so with regard to the number and location of existing licensees and the potential effect that this license will have, the transfer of the license really won't have any effect whatsoever. But I've also included in the file an article from the Baltimore Business Journal about hotel occupancy in Baltimore and how it is expected to grow. And so adding or continuing to offer alcoholic beverages services at this location will provide that continued amenity for the hotel operation here.
Is the hotel's business being affected by the Orioles' success this year? No, I'm curious.
would ask
The
Mr.
business really down. I mean, it's down like 10-15% from before.
Well, let's hope that that turns around next year.
I take no responsibility for the Orioles. With regard to the potential commonality of uniqueness in services and products, again, there are many hotels in Baltimore, but they all are targeted at different types of markets. This is an existing hotel. It'll remain a Marriott under the same flag that it has currently been operating under. And so we don't expect there to be any negative impact with regard to health, safety, general welfare. And so for these reasons, we would request that the board approve the transfer of the license to Mr. Cheng and Ms. Klima at this location.
Okay. The commissioners have questions?
I was looking for that letter of support from Downtown Partnership.
There's not one in your file?
It's probably so, I just haven't seen it.
In the folder.
The folder that I handed out?
Oh, okay.
If you don't have one,
Now I know why I haven't seen it.
There's an extra copy.
You keep this now, I'll just look at this. Thank you. Appreciate it. You can have this.
Thank you.
Anything further, Commissioner?
I'm good, thank you.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the materials that have been received during the hearing today, the proffers from counsel and testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer of the ownership of the license with continuation of outdoor table service requesting off-premise catering.
I concur with the finding.
I too would grant the transfer with the continuation of outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you all.
I call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, business plan.
Mustang Alley, 1300 Bank Street, Suite 200, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicants.
Would you gentlemen raise your right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So, transfer of an existing license and location. It's on the second floor of the location on Bank Street, Bank and Central, to give you a better idea where it is. It's been there about 10 years when it was put in there as an original concept years ago by the people who had seen that concept in different places like Vegas and so forth, and they decided to try it. It's a combination of a bowling alley and restaurant, and they do primarily a lot of private parties and things for individuals. It's on the second floor. They have a rather varied menu. They're just having a problem now because they're tearing up Central Avenue, and it's tough getting the people in there. They've been operating for the last several weeks until the license is being transferred. I really wanted to name it Mustang Sally, but they said no. Mr. Jason Smith, to my far right, has had a lot of experience in his own Lido's Pizzas with beer and wine licenses for a long period of time. Has never had any problems with it. I'll submit his alcohol awareness, and he's been fingerprinted. The other individuals will get alcohol certified. Between the three of them, they'll be there at all times. Keep a lot of the same employees that are in there. Their hours are a little bit are not as long as the rest of them because it's more of a bowling alley. I think they got a dozen lanes. Was it 8 and 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
You mean 10-pin and duck pin?
Yeah, and duck pins is something people not from other states that they think is abhorrent to having that. But you've seen the Geico commercial where the guy hits it and all the alleys go down. That won't happen here.
What's the nature of the live entertainment?
Well, usually when people have a party or something, occasionally bring a DJ or something here. I thought it was interesting. One of the individuals here was born in Iceland, and I forwarded that information to Mr. Trump just in case.
He was interested in purchasing?
Yep. Well, he thought he would take a loan on it. Other than that.
I was going to loan him any money, but go ahead.
Well, listen, somebody's been loaning us a lot of money. I don't know who's going to pay it back. I hope my grandkids will be around. That's
So the operation is going to remain the same essentially, and
Same
new
name.
ownership? Okay. Commissioners?
How do you intend to address the Central Avenue trenching going on?
I think there, go ahead. Come up, you gotta come.
The person building the hotel right next to us, they actually made a walkway for us. So we've kind of been working with them, but it's very limited to get over there. And we just gotta get through it,
How much longer until the work is completed, do you know?
Depends on
What do you ask?
what they tell you. And they tell you, and like they tore up in front of the entire building. They trenched it and then they covered it, so like, it's done. And then yesterday we went there and they tore it all up again.
But it is better, in my opinion. You can come out of the parking garage now, and this one there before, and they kind of,
You cross the street and there's a
Yeah,
sign, a
there's
banner, we put this
signs.
is Mustang Alley, and there's actually
So-
like barricades for safety, so you're not walking along the road.
Like fences.
Fences, so you're not walking along a New Jersey wall.
they're
And-
trying to work with us. I mean, they,
So do you have regular groups of bowlers who come in, or are you just?
They have leagues. We haven't signed any leagues up yet. It's, like I said, it's very much, most of our businesses events, from corporations in Baltimore City.
Okay, Commissioner?
No question. I love the idea.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, testimony received, and the exhibits received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of ownership of the license with continuation of live entertainment.
I concur with the findings.
Mr. Kadinsky is a little bit like that hitter that steps up to the home plate and points the bat out for the home run that he's about to hit. Before our decision's even made, he walks up and gets the approval. It's amazing. I too would, I guess you're clairvoyant, I too would grant the,
He used to let me write them. I didn't want me to write them anymore.
It was a different commission.
I too would grant the transfer of ownership with the continuation of live entertainment.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Appreciate your time.
Mr. Jones, a little known fact about Central Avenue is they have a huge storm drain there that was big enough that you could drive trucks through underneath there. I remember as a kid being there. Very long. We had electricity then, so I could at least have light. On the record? No. Central Avenue is the
Not if
public.
we have to pay for it, no.
Want to get a ticket for that now?
No comments about the utility contractors, please.
Are we back on the record? Have exhibit.
I'm not sure.
I'd like to call exhibit for the record, applicant exhibit 1, alcohol awareness certification. Thank you.
Grants, 2-spot, 2 North Wheeler Avenue, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the address of 2 North Wheeler Avenue did receive notice on or about 5/17/18 from Housing Department concerning the new standards set forth for taverns. It must come into compliance or stay in compliance within 2 years.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky representing the applicant in this case.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, all the truth?
This is transfer of a place. It's probably been there. Well, I remember because Mr. Leno Grant had it, and I'd represented for 50 years. I think it's been in the family since the early 60s, late 60s. His 2 sons are behind me here, Mingo and Ronald. Unfortunately, Mr. Grant had passed away, and they're in the process of, at this point, trying to dispose of some of the properties and the business here that was operating at this location for a long period of time. Mingo is on the license as it presently exists. It's a small neighborhood place. Mr. Hunter, elder Mr. Hunter and the younger Mr. Hunter,
Which one is the applicant?
the younger Mr. Hunter, he's purchasing both the property and the business. Mr. Mingo Grant's going to stay on with him to help meet the people in the neighborhood. Mr. Carl Hunter had been in the hospitality business, although he's fairly young, working with alcohol, and he'll explain to you if you want to ask the questions. Both Mr. Hunter, the father and son, who will operate, they'll probably have 2 employees, 3 at the most. It's a small place. They both had, excuse me, taken the alcohol awareness course, and of course, Mr. Hunter has been fingerprinted and has the past, has no felony record. Be basically a father and son operation at that location.
Where is Wheeler Avenue?
Why don't you stop? Where's Wheeler, Mingo?
Off of Baltimore.
Oh,
It's Mingo Grant?
Grant.
on the east or west side of Baltimore?
West.
I see, okay.
Is that set back up on the hill a little bit?
Yes. Just a little.
Yeah,
Okay. I just,
Across from Club International.
yeah.
Wheeler didn't ring a bell, and I was just trying to find a
Small
place where it
street.
was.
Yeah, with the Club International, that's where the Cooter and his father, right? Yeah.
And his son.
Yeah, the weenie is running now, Cooter's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
None was after that.
Okay.
Vic.
Okay, thank you then. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, testimony received, and the exhibits received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of the license.
I concur with the findings.
I too would approve the transfer of ownership.
Good luck.
I'll make my move on the rail now.
There you go.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, 2 alcohol awareness certifications. Applicant Exhibit 2, background check receipt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Horseshoe, Baltimore, 1525 Russell Street. Class BWL VLF Casino Video Lottery Facility License. Request to expand licensed premises to include second floor bridge and gaming area. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg Martin Greenberg. On behalf of the applicant, I'm joined by Jacqueline Pope, who is the licensee on the Horseshoe Baltimore license.
Good afternoon. Ms. Pope, would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
All right, so what are we doing to the Horseshoe?
We are expanding the licensed premises to include a new outdoor gaming area that will be located on a second-floor bridge between the casino building and the garage building. I'm sure you all are familiar with the casino itself. It was opened in August of 2014 under a video lottery operations license issued by the Lottery Commission of the State of Maryland. Under the state law, all gaming is required to occur on property that's owned by the city. So as part of this project, we have gotten approval from the Planning Commission to subdivide the parcel of land that's located between the garage and the casino building. It was currently part of the garage parcel. We've subdivided it from the garage parcel, and it's going to be conveyed back to the city, so it'll be city property where the outdoor gaming area is going to be located. The Board of Estimates is expected to consider the amendment to the ground lease within the next couple of weeks.
So are you reducing the parking space?
No, we're not changing the parking at all. The
And is
garage
this going to
stays the
be
same.
uncovered outdoor, or is it?
It will have a roof over top of it. It'll be open on the sides. The idea is to allow, we have outdoor gaming patios right now on certain balconies around the casino. They're very popular, and we want to be able to.
Because of the humidity?
Particularly on days like today, people really love to be outside.
We all love the humidity. My hair included.
Yeah, exactly. This is intended to be a little bit more four-season. It is open, but it does have a roof over top of it. It'll have a bar out there. Sort of jumping through the outline and the exhibits that I have here, but there is a copy of the floor plan for the outdoor gaming area included at the back of the file, as well as a rendering showing what it will hopefully look like. It's under construction now. It will be completed hopefully in November of this year and open as soon thereafter as possible. But
The same gaming that occurs indoors, but
same type, yeah. There's 160 slot machines, 16 table games, and 14 hybrid electronic table games with live dealers located. Did I say that right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So, and as I said, there'll be a bar out there, an additional bar. It's going to be operated by Horseshoe, not as a concessionaire.
and when will it be ready?
Hopefully in November. The construction will be done in November and will open.
Middle of November, we're planning on it, construction being done and then opening up shortly thereafter.
During Raven season, huh?
Exactly.
That's the idea.
That's exactly right.
Hopefully they do better than the Orioles.
Be hard not to.
With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Right. Did you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
Questions, no?
Okay. All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits which have been received, the proffers from council and testimony, I'd vote to approve the request to expand the licensed premises to include the second floor bridge gaming area.
I concur with the findings.
And I agree with my colleagues and would approve the expansion of licensed premises to include the second floor bridge gaming area.
Hope it works out.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I call
They're
exhibits-
gambling on it.
Applicant Exhibit 1, business plan. Thank you.
No, we went for a tour. You didn't want to go, or you?
I don't know why I didn't go, but I didn't go.
Ms. Page, that our docket?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in
Whoa, whoa, I
recess.
thought we got one person left?
The board is in recess until 11 a.m. Thursday, August the 29th, 2019. We're adjourned.
We're gonna keep this pen.
We're gonna keep it?
Yeah, keep it.
Okay.
I have to go play cards now.